Oh, phone's ringing.
Somebody should answer that.
Who works here? I don't know. Did you watch Flow Show?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
So apparently me and Trevor, like, he
You guys
knows,
are homies.
He knows my situation. He
Yeah.
knows totally wasn't just copying what Giles said about me. He definitely knows about my situation, my injury.
Yeah.
Clearly knows that I was all over that video, even though I only appeared like 4 times.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. That was the news.
Yeah.
It was the news.
But you can't stop.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he said "Good luck, Giles" at the end of the show. That
Oh, did he?
At the end of his show, he said "Good luck, Giles." With
I
your
didn't
new-"
watch.
You didn't watch
all
that?
the way
You couldn't
to the end.
You couldn't last.
No,
till the
I
end.
honestly, honestly, it's a little. It's hard to watch. It's a hard show to watch.
I feel kind of bad now though because
I do too.
He wished me well and everything. I can't,
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know him.
I don't know him either.
Does he
I
train?
don't
Do
know if he apparently trains.
Okay, yeah. He talks like he does. So
I think I've watched only like 3 of the new Flow shows. One of them being the most recent, and yeah, I mean, like, he's clearly like trying. I guess the thing the problem I have, and I think this is sort of the problem with most parkour media, is you have to care about who the host is, or you have to care about like I mean, the reason why it was so much more popular in the past is because it was Tim hosting it, or if it wasn't Tim, it was Giles, or if it wasn't Giles, it was Kai, right? And those are all people that are in the community that you know who they are, and they have a role in the community. They're maybe athletes or whatever, and nobody really knows who Trev is, so I think that's sort of the thing that's holding the Flow Show back from being what it could be.
Yeah.
And maybe that's just he needs to like step his game up. Maybe he needs to put out a video or something like that.
Yeah, or have I don't know if he has like Instagram or social media or anything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he might not be like the best athlete, but I guess like nobody knows who he is, and so like I think there should be some kind of like presence there. And it doesn't seem to have that, like the way that Giles does, at least, right?
Yeah. Yep. But either way, I wonder if they know each other though, because he was. Good luck, Giles. Because that would be like another level of weird to me.
If they didn't know each other.
Because he's bringing up my injury and wishing me well in that episode, and then bringing up Giles. It would just be funny if he didn't know anyone.
Yeah. To me, the Flow Show seemed eerily similar to the Giles episode from the same weeks. It was like they were featuring basically the same videos.
Well, I think they sleep on it a lot, and it's like, oh, there's this other show now. We gotta put an episode. I mean, it's good if there's 2.
Yeah,
it's good if there's 2.
Yeah,
they'll probably each they'll compete with each other.
Well, I think that's actually what's good about how the fact that Giles is doing it is that it sort of it gives the Flow Show like more reason to improve.
Yeah.
Because there is a competitor on the market, and yeah, I think competition's good.
Competition is good. Someone asked about competition. It's good.
Yeah.
We actually I have to be more clear next time, because I thought I was pretty clear with questions, but we're trying to talk and have a conversation here that's not planned or not rehearsed.
Contrived.
And we talk about competition all the time. We talk about competition all the time, and so I know your opinion.
We've had these conversations before.
Yeah, I know your opinion on competitions, and this isn't supposed to be like a me interviewing you thing, but so yeah, I don't really know how to field that question other than we both like competition.
Yeah, we both think competition is good. It's healthy for the sport. It's healthy for the industry. And it's I think it keeps people in the sport for longer because they have some goals to strive for. Particularly if there's more like open competitions, which there really isn't enough of. Which is one of the reasons, again, why I like the Storm Tour and how they actually did those time trials courses at all their events. They just released 2 more videos, I guess one at the Monkey Vault in Toronto and one at Boulder, Apex Boulder. which is is cool. To be totally honest, I'm actually not digging the videos that much. And it's.
Do go on. Why are you not digging the? Did you dig the OTE videos though, which were kind of similar format?
The thing I liked about the OTE videos is they went outside, but I can understand. I understand why the Storm is doing the way they're doing, because they're saving it all for their documentary, I guess. Or is it a documentary, or is it just a feature film?
Did you watch the Apex one though?
Yes. Yeah.
I really liked they showcased Jake a little bit.
Yeah.
Although if you don't know Jake, then you're watching it and you're like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
It was interesting because there was like a stride they were trying,
yeah.
and he got it first, but then Phil did it
with
single
a single
leg.
leg. Yeah. No.
But Phil wasn't getting the two-step, or at least in the one they showed.
His first attempt was still a single step, but he didn't. He just undershot.
I see. Okay. Because the way it looked was that he didn't get the two-step, and I was like, wow, really? Like,
see, like that part was really cool to me. Like, seeing Phil do like the last shade to dash to cat, which was nutty. And like he was doing a single stride where other people were like failing the two-step on the box, which was really cool. It just shows how good he is. And then it also showed him doing the same like running jump, I guess, as Dante.
Yeah.
Like Dante seemed to land it really high, and Phil didn't quite land it as high as Dante, which is like, oh, that's interesting. That's actually one of the coolest things about seeing these videos, is you get to see like the ability levels of athletes that you watch all the time, and when they're doing the same jumps, you get to see like, oh, it's like, oh, Dante has a huge jump. Yeah, that's not just like like that. It's not just in North America terms, because we already know he's a big jumper from past.
We've met him. We've
past
seen
competitions. But we haven't seen Phil in person.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see like the level comparison.
And I think for people in like the UK too that have never met, because Americans have shit tech and everything, right? So it's interesting to see how people compare, because you can't tell from videos anymore. You just can't, like.
I wouldn't mind talking about Americans having shit tech as a conversation.
Okay. Do Americans have shit tech?
Do they? Some do. Some also are like the cleanest athletes I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like Vinny Coriel jumps into mind. Daniel Arroyo.
Keep going.
All the Merm guys. I mean, like
yourself. You're American.
Well, trying to get rid of my past. No. No, I'm joking. No, I'm American. I'm proud to be American.
Okay.
I'm proud to be American. I'm also proud to be pseudo-Canadian. There was a part of me like watching Giles compiles the last episode, where I was like, yeah, Canada getting on the map. 2 videos.
Two in a row.
And I was thinking like, yeah, like, why am I so like nationalistic towards Canada? Doesn't make any sense. But it's cool.
Because you know the people.
Yeah, I know the people. I think that's a big part of it. Yeah. And I live here now, so. It's good to be.
Anyway, back to the whole shit tech thing, dude. Yeah, we actually haven't really talked about this much. Usually it's an ignored thing, but it's more personable to you. So I'll ask you.
Yeah.
Why do you think that came about, like, in the first place? Like, I think it was Greg Eccles that was first kind of being public about just blatantly hating on Americans and saying that they don't have good technique or ability to do things clean, I think is what he's getting at. But where do you think that comes from?
I think I mean, there's some truth to it. I'm not gonna lie, but I think there is some truth to it. But I think in Europe it was a lot easier, because like all the communities are a lot closer in Europe. Like the UK community, and it's like just like a short train ride to like the next like large community. And you can be in the middle of nowhere in the UK and still be able to train with talented people and sort of be swayed in terms of like better training methods. Whereas
I just want to stop you there.
Go ahead.
What about New York? Because isn't it as like just, or LA even, isn't that like almost just as dense of a population?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, I to be totally fair, I don't know. I don't know all that many people in New York, but like the people I have met from New York are like Max Henry and people who do have like really clean technique, and
Mike Arujo's.
Yeah, Pyro. He's super clean, and and there's like a bunch of people in New York that I've at least seen on social media that have good technique. I don't see a lot of the dangerous like kids hucking like flips that they can't do yet. But I think a big problem in the U.S. is that we're so spread out. All the communities are way spread out. Like, I came from Florida. In Florida, it's like, I was one of the only people practicing in my city. And then, like, when I got, like, I could train with, like, Daniel Arroyo, for instance. It was a 4-hour drive for me to go do that. Which is, like, it's not, like, a short trip. And it's not like just as easy as getting on a train. It's like, I have to drive down, I have to plan it, and then like, all the communities around Florida are really spread out. And I think it's a lot harder to have access to good quality information and training methods. And that's why, generally speaking, Americans have bad technique, is because they just don't have as much opportunity to meet and train with people who are more experienced and understand how to train better. There's probably some arrogance there too, and some stubbornness.
Yeah. I think the UK community is older though.
Yeah,
it's much older. I think there were people in like 2002 probably practicing in the UK, and there didn't really start to be established jams in North America until late 2003, 2004, like when Jump London came out. Jump London came out, it really started to get around. And I don't know if I think there were guys in the UK that, like the Team Tracer or whatever. I think they went to Lease, and they went there like really early, and were basically trying to train with some of the original guys who had already been doing it for 10 years.
Right.
Not that their technique is the best, but there was at least some experience there and some
wisdom.
Yeah, so
Training wisdom.
Whereas when I got into parkour, my very first jam was just like so reckless, it was about rebellion. It was about like going on top of high stuff and everything.
No, but you know what? It's funny about that. I remember there's like an interview I saw or read, I can't remember, with Blaine. Yeah. Chris Roat. And he's like the notorious guy for talking about like, safe training methods and stuff like that. I think he talked about like his first training sessions were like, I saw Jump London and I'm gonna jump off roofs now. Because that, and like he did that, and it's like to say that like that's just a uniquely American phenomenon is like lying. It's blatantly lying.
What I'm trying to say is that I think they went through that faster.
Sure, yeah.
They went through that faster, and by the time North America was catching on to what Europe was already doing, Europe was falling off of that kind of culture, I guess.
Yeah.
But they were putting out videos of that culture too. If you look at the very first like UF videos,
you're right.
They're pretty reckless. So over in North America, we're looking at that and like, this is what parkour is. Cool.
Yeah. But again, I think it's just like the reason why like better training methodology spread in Europe so much faster is just literally like person-to-person contact is so much easier. In the like again like the Florida community right now is like pretty dead, honestly. Like there's like people like spread out that do parkour in Florida, but there's not really like a hub of dedicated, people who train hard and with good training methodology. Yeah, there's like people spread out, and like there's kids that are hucking flips that they don't know how to control, or trying jumps or trying backflips on precise surfaces at height and falling off, and I know of at least 2 examples, but yeah, it's but again, I think it's all due to like just how spread out. I mean, like there's states in the U.S. that still don't have a very strong parkour community, like at all. Like
yeah,
like
well in Canada too. And
yeah,
Canada's super like spread out.
Yeah. So. Well, you're all like close to the border.
Mm-hmm.
You're trying to get to the U.S. because
it's warmer.
Get it? Yeah, the warmth of the U.S. But it actually blew my mind when I first moved here to Vancouver. Mm-hmm. When my first Sunday session that I went to, there was like 20, 30 people. And I was like, wow, 20, 30 people at one jam, like that's not like that's like a regular thing, like every week, not like this isn't our monthly jam that we're doing. No, this is like something that we have pretty much every week, and it's pretty standard for people to come out in this kind of numbers. That blew my mind because the biggest jam I had been to were like maybe a few more people, but it was like planned months in advance.
Yeah, it wasn't a weekly thing.
Yeah.
I mean, well, Vancouver population is like 600,000, around there. So, I mean, consistency with meetups and stuff kind of led to that. But parkour is still such a small niche sport.
I think it's also like the geography of like Vancouver. It's like easy. It's like, well, you just like meet downtown, like, and you can take transit. You can like ride your bike. You can like do whatever method to get down there.
Yeah.
In Florida, it's like, all right, drive 45 minutes to this spot for the meetup, and then it's like, all right, we got to carpool to the next spot because it's another 30 minutes away. And, it's all spread out. It's like suburban sprawl. It kind of sucks. But
so remind me, did you see? This has nothing. I'll try to tie it into parkour, but basically there's a video that just came out. It was on Van City Buzz. It's like Vancouver No Fun City.
Yep.
It's like a rap video. You saw it?
Yep.
Yeah. It's just I think usually when people come here for parkour, they're digging it. It's a pretty fun city to be in. But people from Vancouver, I hate.
Yeah.
Like they just hate on Vancouver so hard. I think they like being here, but they hate on it so hard. It's just they want more still. So.
I think a lot of those sort of no fun city ideas come actually because of like too much regulation and government on just like things. Like I don't But there's a bunch of different laws like that in Vancouver that are just super arbitrary and weird, and like that's why I think it's dubbed No Fun City. But in reality, it's like no, like Vancouver's a dope city. Like
we got a parkour park.
We've got a parkour park, like the only legitimate one in North America. We have a parkour gym outside of parkour.
Parkour city. That's
outside of parkour, like it's so easy to go hiking here. Like it's so easy to get around. It's like a pretty bustling nightlife in downtown. Like yeah, like it's a great place. Tourism Vancouver, hire me.
All right. I think we've plugged Vancouver enough now. Let's go across the water. Airwipp is coming up, and we haven't really talked about this much because there's not a whole lot there. Do you know any details about format or anything yet?
I have no understanding. I know they're doing a video qualifier.
Is that their only qualifier, or is there going to be like a live one? Or
as far as I know, it's their only one, but I don't know. Maybe they're doing a live qualifier. Qualifier as well.
Qualifier.
I think it's interesting because it's like this will be their second one, I believe, and their first one was like.
Is it only because so they skipped some years then?
Yeah, because the first one was like 2 years ago.
Was that the one where like that Jesse and Corey were in? And,
yeah.
Okay.
It was in. It was outside, and it like they had some really bad luck, and it rained, and so they were just trying to dry the course, and then they actually had to do like a last minute adjustment of format, and it actually ended up being a really cool format.
But we don't know what
we don't know what they're gonna do this time, but last time it was like best combo, and they had to limit it to that smaller course.
I have a feeling they're gonna go with like art of motion format.
Probably.
Which sucks.
Well, I agree. The format sucks, but I don't know. I don't know if they will, because I remember like there was like a documentary, not a documentary, I guess it's just like a video that was made about like sort of behind the scenes of the Airwipp competition, and they were like, yeah, like best combo, like I like it, maybe we'll like do this again, you know. And it was just kind of like that was sort of the conclusion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hope
hopefully they keep it.
I hope they keep it,
because it's a way better format instead of making people go for 45 seconds when they never trained to do that.
Yeah. Well, you know what's funny is when I was looking into sort of like training demands of competition. Are we good? No, we're not good.
And we're back. All right. Continue.
I was looking into the training demands of competition. I actually looked at the Airwipp competition because I was intrigued by it, and I timed all the runs that I saw I could find on YouTube. The maximum time was like 15 seconds.
Damn, the world is ending.
It was like it was like 10. It was like 10 to 15 seconds. Like, and like, yeah, that's pretty standard for like a typical combo that you would do in your own training. Yeah, and I think that's more appropriate. And it's like, you know, in terms of like physiology, is like, yeah, your ATP reserves are done in like 15 seconds. So like, unless you want parkour to become like an anaerobic or aerobic sport.
Well, injury, like we never hear people talk about. I remember when competition was, people were so against it, and they wanted to. The main reason they came out there all the time was, oh, people are going to get injured.
Yeah.
And there was never specifics. But I'll tell you one thing that can lead to injury in a sport where usually you're training anaerobic is fatigue.
Yeah.
Fatigue will lead to injury. And you see some close things happen. You see like Dom Tomato doing double side to stomach, and there was a mat there and stuff. And just, I think the more tired you get, the more likely you are to, one, mess up, but also weird stuff can happen. You know, I've been reading up on Achilles ruptures, and fatigue is huge for because what happens is your muscles stop doing what they normally do under fatigue, and then your tendons or ligaments and things are a little bit more exposed because you don't necessarily move with the correct biomechanics that you would if you were fresh.
Right.
So, yeah, fatigue can definitely cause injury. I think most people that compete right now are quite careful, but if you're really pushing it, that could be a problem.
Yeah, I just think, I guess my major issue with you know, excessive length of competitions in terms of their format is it just doesn't reflect what people train for. And I think that's what we've tried to do in the past with like NAPC, which is like make a competition that athletes want to compete in because it's what they would be doing anyway, right? Yeah. It seems so contrived to just make a competition that it's like, oh, I want to see people go through this ridiculously long course. It's like the APK fast contest, that's held at Beast Coast, I guess. That competition is like a speed course, and it's like, I think the first year they did it, it was like almost a minute long or something like that. Or it's just like excessively long.
I've heard stuff about that. And about people like basically like crawling over boxes at the end of a speed course or something because it's so long. And
it's like, as a competition organizer, like, I guess you have to ask yourself, it's like, well, are you getting athletes to do something because you want to see them like adapt to the standards and suffer under the standards that you're creating, or do you want to see them thrive in an environment where it's
built for them?
It's built for them. Yeah, exactly. It's designed for them to shine instead of like designed to break them down, right? And I think that's what needs to be considered in future competitions. And hopefully Airwipp learned from their first event. and they're gonna actually stick with that format, because I thought that was a really interesting idea, the whole best combo thing.
I'll say I'm super jealous because this time they're doing an arena.
Oh yeah.
And that's like my life goal right now, is for us to be able to eventually be able to be part of a competition in some way that's in an arena. A parkour competition that's in an arena that's life goal right now. And they're there. So, but I mean, hopefully it's sustainable for them.
Yeah.
Like hopefully they're not doing a one-time show at an arena and it totally flops and they don't sell enough tickets or whatever, and then whatever investors they have don't want to do it again. But I mean, the fact that they're already doing a second one kind of says a lot.
Yeah.
Kind of says that whoever put money into the first one, or however they got money, it worked twice. So
I wonder if it's the same sponsor.
Yeah, well, what was it? BetSafe, was it?
BetSafe was the original
I
sponsor.
don't see BetSafe on any of this stuff yet.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, I remember that.
Oh yeah, that was a really
so much going on in the world today. So many emergencies. All right, sorry.
Yeah, I remember BetSafe was like everyone was like people get on Red Bull Art of Motion because Red Bull's unhealthy. The parkour community needs to just like chill out sometimes. Like I understand like you want parkour to only be associated with positive things. But like I mean, like it's okay.
I think just a lot of people feel like it's representing them. And I think when it comes to Red Bull, I actually do think it's kind of a problem because they're the biggest show right now. If they were just a sponsor, I wouldn't have as much of an issue, because when you look at Red Bull Automotion, that's the only company doing, like you don't see other company logos or anything. They get to hog the whole stage because it's their show. But I don't think they're trying to dictate or take control of the sport, you know? Like they're not calling themselves like the Red Bull Federation of Parkour or like Red Bull World Freerunning and Parkour Federation.
Right.
Which I think is a problem. As soon as someone tries to be the official association or the official federation of the sport and start regulating things, then that's a problem. But they don't seem to be trying to do that. They're just trying to have a fun event that brings out people to promote their product.
Yeah. I think actually, like, the funny thing about BetSafe was that I don't think that's even a good
match
for parkour. Like,
well, is Red Bull even for the part? I mean,
I think Red Bull is. I think it is.
Well, they just do extreme sports, and I think they see parkour as an extreme sport. So they're in it for the spectacle.
Yeah. No, but like, how many kids do you know that drink Red Bull?
But then this is why people think it's a problem. See, this is why parkour people think it's a problem.
Yeah, but those kids are gonna be drinking Red Bull anyway.
That's true.
Like, because they're kids and they eat candy and like they eat milkshakes for breakfast and
I don't think having the company involved in parkour is or not is going to solve the problem. They're going to a company like that is going to find some other way to expose themselves to kids. Probably easier than through parkour.
I don't know. I'm not terribly tied to the idea that parkour has to be this pure thing. Yeah, like I don't drink Red Bull myself. I used to be, but I
hate Red Bull. I think it tastes like syrup.
It's made me throw up in the past, so I don't drink it. It's not my drink of choice. But again, the thing that Red Bull is doing is they're putting money up to put on this, event every year, which, what other companies can you say are doing that?
Yeah, I think that's the thing you have to kind of say to every person who is really anti Red Bull is like, where is your event of this level, of this amount of exposure?
Yeah.
Like, where's your answer to it?
Yeah. What's your answer? Like, is it?
But no, I'm just gonna sit behind my keyboard, and just leave comments that say, I don't like it, because that changes it. That changes everything when you make comments on stuff. That changes the game. That's how things are done. Making comments. That's
Facebook needs a dislike button so I can dislike Red Bull Out of Motion posts.
Yeah, that's what's gonna change everything.
No.
Oh man.
Do something.
Yeah.
Do something like that you want to see, and that's that's the only way you're gonna actually make any kind of progress towards seeing your vision.
Yeah, and it's not easy. No. It's not easy to find a good, wholesome company that supports all your ideals that is gonna go into parkour, and I think part of it is that in some ways parkour grows really fast. Again, like Red Bull Auto Motion is or some other competitions or TV shows like the MTV thing I've talked to you about before, but like they try to put parkour on this huge stage really early, and there's no developed tested competition format yet. Yeah. There's no competition format where everyone's like, I really like this format and we should keep doing it.
There needs to be a proven format before you
There's
can
no
take it to the
audience.
masses. You have to develop an audience from the ground up. You can't just be like, okay, like I got an idea, let's have teams, and then they have to do these courses. Oh wait, and then like halfway through the season they like change the format because it's like, okay, this isn't working so well. How do we make it better? You can't do that. You have to like develop a format like from the ground level up.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do.
And then eventually, like maybe it won't be suitable for TV, but eventually, like hopefully it will, because then that means like growth in the sport, more people can have access to parkour, and people can be entertained by it too. It's like a win-win.
Yeah. There you go. Well, we ended up talking about competition.
Yeah, we did.
So there we go. There's
pretty
actually
much we do every time, I think.
Yeah. It's okay.
Yeah, that's right. It's a theme.
Yeah. There was actually one question though that I felt was topical in news thing was Giles posted a bail in his. It wasn't this week. It was the previous week. Was it the first episode or the second episode?
It was this week. Yeah.
So it was the second episode of Giles Compiles. There is a bail where some guy has a backpack on. He walks up to what looks like actually a really tiny cat leap. For the size of the guy, anyways, and essentially ends up bouncing off and falling 3 stories
and landing on stairs.
Yeah, and he seemed okay though.
Yeah,
you don't really see the landing.
He got up. So like, the guy is Denester. He's like a Singaporean athlete, and he's the one that I guess he made. Creating Progress is the name of the video.
I didn't actually watch this.
You didn't watch it?
He's good.
He's good. Yeah, he's talented. Cool.
So he should have had that cat.
He should have. Yeah. He apparently was like doing like a commercial shoot or some kind of shoot where he's wearing like khakis that were like really restrictive.
And the backpack, or
I don't know why he was wearing the backpack. I don't think he had to wear the backpack, but maybe it's just like for the effect of the shot. But he did a little write up and he posted his bail on Facebook and. Talked about like his experience with it, and I guess like he sprained his back. I don't know exactly like where. Like I think it was maybe his lower back or something. But he took the drop basically. He sprained his back a little bit, but apparently the next day he was like jumping and flipping and stuff. So I don't know how bad his injury was, and who knows? It could be like something that's like now like pretty insidious, and like he has a problem that like he feels okay now, and like. Maybe he really actually needs like some kind of like physiotherapy.
Yeah, I wonder if he's seen a specialist yet or anything.
But who knows? Because parkour guys are tough guys, right? Nobody wants to admit that they have a problem.
Well, backs are tricky.
Yeah.
And they're it's a chronic thing and sometimes an acute thing that can build up with impact training. Yeah. I don't really know what the takeaway from that video should be. I think I made a comment to Giles saying, I don't think you should do bail of the week. I think that other media does that enough for us. I don't really think a parkour news show or a feature clip show really needs to have a bail of the week. Maybe save of the week would be cool to see.
That would be cool.
But
I think that might actually be harder to find though.
Yeah, but I mean, maybe some weeks you don't have it. But yeah, I think just there's enough media out there already of parkour bails. Like, why do we need to add to that. Unless, I don't know.
It's entertaining, though.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know
the
if you
thing.
like seeing it. I don't personally like seeing all of them. There's some that are...
There's some that are really entertaining to watch. There's some.
Yeah.
I wonder if the front flip drop kick that Dom Di
That was
Tommaso
awesome.
posted.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. That was a Halloween one, I guess.
Yeah, that was just this weekend.
That was really cool. And it didn't seem like either of them got hurt out of it, but it was like really funny to watch and really entertaining. But then there's some that I just don't want to see. I mean, like the thing is, we're talking about it now, and it's like, yeah, like I'm glad that was actually, I don't think that was a bail of the week. I think that was just featured in the video.
Yeah, he did. I don't remember.
Yeah, it was
I
in the
thought
video.
it was.
It was
I thought
in the video,
it was.
'cause,
He
you know,
he highlighted it.
He highlighted it. He was
part of
like,
the
yeah,
video.
like let's forget about the fact that he shouldn't be alive right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the thing with that is, and I think people are kind of wondering what my impression or your impression was of it.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, like the guy clearly, I think, was caught unfocused. Like I said, it's a small cat leap. It was really high up. Maybe what he was wearing had something to do with it, or the grip wasn't. Maybe he didn't check it or something. But I think we've all been there. You know, you can't be perfect all the time.
Yeah.
And hopefully, when you're up that high, when there's that many consequences. But I mean, when you're doing parkour, you don't want to think about what's going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Like as much as you need to check surfaces and do things, I really don't think it's wise to think about what can go wrong. You need to be thinking about what can go right.
Yeah.
Or just maybe there's different versions of what can go right, that involve certain things happening, but really to be able to continue to do parkour, to do it well, you can't be thinking about the negative all the time and focusing on things about like, I gotta make sure this is really safe.
Well, I mean, like, I think just based on like technically what, like in terms of technique, what he should have been doing is keeping his chest closer to the wall.
Yeah, I haven't analyzed the clip actually. I'm glad you.
Because it looks like he basically he lands in kind of like a staggered position with his feet on the wall, and his top foot sticks really, really well, and his chest is kind of held back like this. So he just basically pushed himself off the wall, like like his feet didn't slide at all, which we've talked about is like can be very important for like level cat leaps or
you got to have either a slide or a step down, and then
you have to have some kind of foot adjustment, because if they're just stay high, you'll just bump yourself off. But the other part is just keeping your chest close on the cat so that you can like lower down, you can actually reduce the impact and not bump yourself off. So yeah, I mean, it looked like there's definitely a lot of things that he could have done in that scenario where it would have been healthier for him not to take the drop. I'm glad he's safe. I'm glad he didn't get terribly injured or die.
Yeah, like I don't think it's fair to really judge the guy, particularly like from what else he's done. He was caught in a moment where he was imperfect. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, if we criticize him for being imperfect, we gotta criticize Dylan Baker for being imperfect many times. even though he's like he's an American with clean tech. Dylan's made some mistakes in the past that have been potentially like really bad, but he saved himself pretty well. The manhood gap comes to mind, and then also that 20-foot drop he took on accident when he was doing a speed climb. That's pretty harsh.
And I think there's some things like that too, where people they're not proud of it. Like they know they're lucky.
Yeah.
And they don't actually want to. I think I can't really speak for Dylan, but I seem to remember him saying something particularly about the manhood gap thing, where he's not particularly proud of it.
Yeah.
Like he recognizes that he was lucky in it. I think it changed his mind a lot about how he approaches things.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things he said actually was he had negative thoughts going into it. I don't. Maybe I'm remembering this incorrectly, but I think he's mentioned something about. I'm just gonna make up. I'm just gonna put words into his mouth now.
Yeah.
He'll message me later. He doesn't watch this.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Yeah, I think he said something about he had negative thoughts going into the one that he bailed, the Kong, where he slipped out.
Right.
And he attributed that to part of the reason why he bailed is that he had negative thoughts. I think myself too. Like I remember doing a slip bail on a Kong where I had recently watched a video of, I think it was Naeem, like slipping on it, and at the time I had
That's when he messed up his wrist.
I had this stupid idea. By the way, people, we know this, but do not go do not do this on rail Kongs.
Yeah.
Thumb under on rail Kongs. This is years ago, and I was playing around with thumbs over, thinking I could get like more out of it.
I had that same experience.
And I totally that rolled through my head before I did the Kong, and I kind of, oh no, like focus. And it wasn't like at height or anything, but there was definitely a rock on the other side that I almost hit my head on when I slipped. And yeah, it's definitely don't think of what can go wrong before you try something.
Yeah, I mean, like you start visualizing the negative consequences, and you start your body will tend to want to do those things. I mean, I think there's value to thinking about the potential consequences of jumps, but more in terms of like how you can control those aspects rather than letting those things control you, right? I always like to think about parkour in terms of what, like me as an actor in the environment, not as somebody who is at the effect of the environment, right? So like, so being at the cause and not the effect.
Yeah.
Being somebody who's somebody who can like act, who has an effect on the environment, not who the environment has an effect on.
Yeah. I mean, you have a lot of things that can control that too in parkour because you're not on a skateboard or something that can.
Right.
I mean, sometimes things break.
Yeah.
Sometimes structures break, and again, we talk about testing things. I mean, going back to the cat leap, the wall didn't break. It was maybe stickier than he thought it would be. Yeah, there's jumps I've done at height where you can't actually test the other side sometimes, and you have to literally look at it and make your best judgment as to whether or not, do I know obstacles? Am I gonna KO this thing? Like, do I know obstacles? Is this a slippery wall or I can't tell? Well, okay. And then you start thinking about what goes right.
Yeah, Dylan has some really interesting thoughts on like fear and how to sort of mediate fear in your mind.
Yeah.
And basically he has like three pillars, I guess. Like your confidence in the environment, your confidence in your ability to perform the planned move, and then your confidence in your ability to react to unplanned circumstances. So if whatever you were planning goes wrong, then there's a way out. And I think those three pillars are like really important in parkour, and I think Dylan really hits the nail on the head when he talks about those ideas. It's like, is the environment dusty? Is it potentially going to be break? Is it going to potentially break? Is it a sloped surface? Is it a grippy surface? Like what kind of surface is it? And that's going to give you some idea about, well, I should do this jump or not. Have you done jumps similar to it before? Do you know that you are capable of doing this jump, or are you just sort of like guessing if you can do it? That's going to give you some idea about whether or not you should try it. And it's like, well, if something does go wrong, do you know how to safely come out of it?
Yeah.
Yes or no? If not, maybe you shouldn't try it just in case. You should probably try to practice the bail scenario, or at least in a safer environment, right? And I think those are some really important ideas that he talks about. And I actually find a lot of my conversations with Dylan are really positive because I feel like he has a lot to offer in terms of like the mental aspect of parkour. So. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I think that's all I wanted to talk about today.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Hopefully next time people, if they're gonna ask questions, they're a little bit more topical. I think we tried to roll with it today, but I mean, we'll talk about whatever news there is. But they need to be trying to keep this current.
Feel free to ask us some topical questions that are relevant to like the news of today or tomorrow. or this week. And we'll try to talk about them.
Trying to make this an organic conversation here, not a on a new show. But we're going to actually just real quick. We'll plug this. We're going to the Take Flight Roundabout. Roundabout. That's the correct pronunciation. Yeah, we're going to that. That's this Saturday, and I think it's going to be live Saturday evening. So if you hate Take Flight, watch it anyways, because apparently we're able to talk about whatever we want. Cuffs off for this one. So yeah, I'm not biased in any way towards Take Flight or not, but they've invited us to chat about parkour topics, so tune in and watch, and that'll be kind of more of a news moderation thing. So we'll probably talk about like more general topics. I think Joey Adrian's moderating it, so yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think you'll tune in this weekend. We'll see you then.